white thread, and I'm going to use a black rod blank, so hopefully it shows up better on camera for you. I don't like using razor blades when I'm doing my tag ends on my rod wraps. I thought I'd put together a short video about how you can do your tag ends. You can cut them and pull them through and not ever need to use a razor blade. I've shown this on other videos, but not as a video by itself, so it seemed to me like it's something that I should probably do a standalone video on, so that's what I'm going to do here. I've occasionally made a mistake with a razor blade and cut a wrap that I didn't intend to and things like that, so this is kind of a way of doing it that I've come up with. It works really well for me. Everybody likes to do things differently. Some people don't mind using razor blades. I try not to use them if I don't have to. There's occasions where I still use them. For me personally, this is so easy that I prefer to use this method on the vast majority of the wraps I'm doing. So I'm just going to speed this video up a little bit and get to the part where I'm going to show you the scissors that I'm going to be using to cut my tag ends for this wrap. What these are cuticle scissors. You can find them where you find like fingernail clippers and cuticle cutters or tweezers, things like that are at. These are actually a pretty good pair of cuticle scissors. Some are not so good. There's varying qualities. I believe I paid about $7 for this pair, and they're very sharp and there's no sloppiness in the blades. They're tight against each other. There's a little friction when you open and close the scissors, so it's a little higher quality pair than some of them I've seen. And they cut thread, especially rod wrapping thread, really easily. There's also a little bit of a curvature to the blade, so you can get a little closer to the rod blank as you're trimming thread. And the blades are really thin, so you can get really close in on things without thick, bulky scissor blades being in the way. Now, when you're trimming with a razor blade, you can usually get away with putting about somewhere between 3 and 5 wraps over the top of your pull-through loop. What I'm going to show you here requires more wraps over the pull-through loop. I usually try to do at least 7 wraps over my pull-through loop. Now I'm just going to hold tension on that wrap with my index finger to make sure that it doesn't come unraveled, and I'm going to release the tension from my wrapping jig. And my wrapping jig uses a tensioning rod, so I'm going to be unhooking that tensioning rod, and then I will have some slack in my line where I can cut my tag in. And I'm going to leave my tag in a little long right now at this point so I can use it to pull tension on it while I pull the loop back up tight against the wrap. So I'm just pulling the tag end down here, and I'm going to pull the pull-through loop up until I can let go of the tag end, and it will still have tension on it so it won't come unraveled. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim that tag end pretty close to where that pull-through loop is, leaving just a little bit sticking out, maybe a millimeter, 32nd of an inch, whatever measurement you want to use, but it's a real short amount, and that amount that's sticking out is shorter than the width of the wraps that I put over my pull-through loop. And I want to make sure it's shorter than that because I want to make sure when I pull this back through that the tag end gets completely covered by the wraps that were over the pull-through loop. I'm going to want to make sure to pull this at a 45-degree angle back down towards the front side of the rod because that's where my thread was coming off of my wrapping jig onto the rod. And I hope that makes sense. It sounds a little confusing. The tension was pulling down on the front side of the rod. That's the direction I want to pull this tag end back under the wrap. I wasn't being particularly careful when I did this wrap, so at this point, you know, you'd want to go back and straighten your ends up, burnish the thread to close out any little gaps or anything like that. I'm not going to really bother with that too much. The whole idea was just to show you how you can do your pull-through loop and trim your tag end really close and pull it completely under your wraps to where you don't have to come back with a razor blade and trim it off. So I hope you find that information useful. Maybe you can incorporate that into your rod building. Maybe you'd prefer to stick with the razor blades. Either way, you know that's an available technique if you ever need to come back to it and check it out again. I hope you enjoyed it, and I guess I will talk to you guys later.